And we begin tonight with some breaking news involving NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott, will return to the number 9 car this weekend for the race at Martinsville. Elliott, who fractured his leg snowboarding in Colorado, was last on the track for the second race of the season, finishing runner-up on Fontana, while Chase tested on Tuesday afternoon and this morning in the Chevy simulator before deciding, folks, he is good to go. Approved, by the way, by NASCAR to have a waiver to remain championship eligible, so that is huge. Rick Hendrick releasing this statement following the news. We are looking forward to having Chase back in his race car to pick up where he left off. Since the injury, he's worked extremely hard and focused all his time and energy on returning to the number 9 team. Throughout the last 6 weeks, he stayed fully engaged with everything we're doing. We know he's chomping at the bit to get back on the racetrack and compete for wins. So guys, this is huge. Obviously NASCAR's most popular driver. We were wondering when. Now we know it's this weekend, Bobby.
Yeah, they also said no more West Coast swing for you because he stayed on the West Coast evidently. But, it's huge, obviously, for the whole team, for Hendrick Motorsports and for Chase, and especially for him, because he's been watching these races and his car has been running pretty good. And when you're sitting out of a race car and that is your car, you want to get back in it. So it's glad to see that he's able to come back. Martinsville this weekend. He's probably worked really hard. Like I said, he's run some laps in the simulator, so we'll see what he's got.
Yeah, not just watching your car do well, but Chevy in general has been really good at the beginning of the season, and his teammates being able to win 3 races. Alex Bowman's been really about as consistent as anybody this year on the track. I'm sure the first couple weeks weren't bad, but you see Josh Berry run second at Richmond, all of a sudden you start getting the itch and your leg's feeling good. I'm sure he's excited to get to be back.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at this timeline for Chase Elliott, because we know he started the season with a 38th place finish at Daytona, one he'd like to forget, then that runner-up on Fontana. You're like, he's got something going, and then broke his leg snowboarding, had that surgery on March 3rd. Then he missed those 6 races from Vegas through the Bristol Dirt this past weekend, but he's making that return this Sunday, April 16th at Martinsville. So throughout that time, we know it's not just about him, it's about the team. You have no Chase Elliott for 6 races. Alan Gustafson, remember those 4 race suspensions for the crew chief. So how did that impact the timeline, Jamie, of this team?
Well, it's been a hot mess, right? I mean, there was one point when his teammates got the 100-point suspension, or the suspension, that he was ahead of them and wasn't even racing. So it's been a little bit of a mess. But to get to have the whole group back, he referenced that he'd been in the simulator a little bit, and I'm sure that behind the scenes he's been working on stuff and has been engaged, even though we haven't seen him. He was a part of our broadcast booth, which was great. But he's been working behind the scenes, and I feel like getting in the car, it's not going to take that long for those guys to get back after it.
Yeah, and I think about, his recovery. I mean, they said it was going to be around 6 weeks, and it's right there at it. And so you think about what all he's done. He's not just really just been waiting for like 6 weeks to happen. He's been working out, getting ready for this day, and, getting prepared for it. And you mentioned the broadcast. I watched that, and I was like, dude, he is all over this. I mean, he's so engaged. And, I know that he missed being out there in the race car. And the only thing he probably missed was the louver debacle and everything that went with it. So he's probably glad that he wasn't part of it. So now he's back, and hopefully they'll have all that behind him.
I think it's also interesting in today's world, the drivers have so many tools. If you went back 10 or 15 years ago, you don't have SMT data where you can see, everything that's happening live during the races, the simulator, and even something as simple as iRacing, just to kind of get those visual cues and stay acclimated. That's a really big deal. So to me, being out makes it easier to come back now than what it would have been before.
All right, you guys want to talk some more injuries? More injuries?
Sure, why not, Josh?
Let's keep it rolling. Let's get to Chase Briscoe. And an update, remember, he broke the middle finger on his left hand during a dirt late model race last week. Still raced this past weekend in both the truck and cup races. Did that with a brace on it. Well, he tweeted today, still broken and hurting. Surgery is going to be first thing Monday morning after Martinsville. He's going to get some rods and screws put in it. And you need the proof. Everyone, it's 2023.
That's a Google image, Josh. I saw that earlier on the internet. I don't know if that's real.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Like a different kind of injury than the Chase one. So what is it like battling a hand injury, especially a broken finger, for a guy like Chase Briscoe?
Yeah, I fractured a bone in my hand. And I mean, it is difficult. Everything you touch, everything you do, you grab a steering wheel. You know, and for what he's doing, he's trying to grab that wheel as hard as he can. And I'm sure every vibration, everything he touches with it, I mean, that was a true fracture. I mean, it's not one that needs to heal on its own. I just hope that fixing it actually feels better afterwards instead of it might take a couple weeks. But, you know, you got to get it fixed, and he's got to do it on a Monday so he can be ready for the next weekend.
Well, he said in his interview at Bristol after doing the truck heat race that it didn't really bother him as much as he thought. So I think that's a good sign. Being on your left hand, I would think would be better because you're shifting with your right hand, and that's more of an aggressive movement. And if he was okay at Bristol in the dirt, knowing how, I mean, they're just like swatting flies the whole time around the racetrack. To me, that would make it a little bit easier somewhere like Martinsville, where you're going to be much smoother on the wheel.
Well, on the call,
smoother on the wheel. Hold on a second. Really? Smoother on the wheel at Martinsville?
I think so compared to the Bristol dirt. I think so.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Talladega, you're smoother.
Yeah, a lot smoother there.
You know, on the call this morning, he asked me to show which finger it was.
Which finger was it? I love that. Everyone fell for it.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.